with some in WWE wanting to warn Tony Khan about hiring Shane McMahon and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for February 3rd. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at WrestlingHubOfficial and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. After allegations surfaced of Ken Anderson's pro wrestling school being a scam, the man himself has now issued a statement. A post on Reddit had claimed the school had been closed for nearly 2 years, with students yet to receive any kind of training despite payment. With those students wanting refunds, the former WWE star took to Facebook to explain his side of the story. I feel it necessary given the nature of the original Reddit post and subsequent articles written about my character in my wrestling school to address them publicly. I personally have not been contacted by anyone from the internet wrestling community wishing to ask for my comments on those statements about me. In 2016, my friend Sean Davari and I realized we had similar visions for how a wrestling school should be and could be operated. We decided to team up and open the Academy School of Professional Wrestling. Since day one, we were committed to giving everyone that came through our doors an opportunity to learn as much as they could about professional wrestling, from safety to etiquette, from basic holds to exciting high spots, from character development to interview skills. We either covered it or were able to connect our students to resources that did. We've hosted some of the biggest names in the wrestling industry as guest trainers. We've welcomed over 200 students from all walks of life, foreign and domestic, each with individual goals and aspirations. Dozens of those students now appear weekly around the Midwest independent wrestling scene. Some have traveled nationally and even internationally. A handful of our graduates are on the radar of the big companies, and a few call AEW their current full-time employer. Unfortunately, COVID closed our doors in 2020. I understand that not all will agree with our decision to not reopen and to play it safe. Some reopened almost immediately as we were hit with variants and waves of infection. I don't have control over what others choose to do with their bodies or businesses, but I felt it was the right thing to do for the health and safety of our students and their families, as well as our own family. Pro wrestling and social distancing do not pair well. If I have to do it again without the benefit of hindsight, I would have handled those unsure times the same way. As those dates got pushed forward in the individual correspondence with our students, there was a natural sense of frustration, but each time we expressed our reasons and concerns, we were met with understanding every time from every student. It was our understanding that everyone was on the same page. In hindsight, we recognized that we could have and should have communicated more. Nobody has been conned or scammed. We remain as dedicated to and excited about reopening now as we were to initially open our doors in 2016. We are currently working with a realtor to secure a new location that will meet our specific needs: high ceilings, zero noise restrictions, ample parking for our students, price, and location. 2 months ago, we had found a great building that met every single one of those criteria, but after discussing it with each student individually and some expressing concerns over distance, we decided that it wasn't a fit. We need to do this right the second time. With minimum 3 to 5 year lease terms, we cannot get into a building that isn't going to check those boxes. We look forward to reopening. The minute that we secure that building, we will be in touch with everyone, including new students, returning students, and graduates. In the meantime, our students are encouraged to contact us at any time with any concerns. Thank you, Ken Anderson. Speaking about her WWE career with Renee Paquette, Nia Jax admitted that fans constantly accusing her of intentionally injuring other superstars took a toll on her. Anybody who knows me in the locker room, I know that I was so much bigger than everybody, and I know that I'm a lot stronger. Coach Sarah Amato had always said, you always have to be aware because you are so much bigger that you throwing your arm and hitting somebody in the face is not going to be the same as somebody smaller than you. I was always conscious of that. I was trying to take pride. I worked with Alexa Bliss most of my career and she's so tiny. She trusted me. It hurt when people were like, she injures everybody. In my career, I know I've injured 2 people. Obviously, Becky was one of them. There is another one, I don't want to call her out, but I know I did. I profusely apologized. Other things, they made like a whole YouTube about certain things. Hey, guess what? We get in there and we're going 300 days a year and not all my moves are going to look super clean and smooth, but I'm not injuring people or purposefully going out to hurt people. That's what hurt me the most. I consciously make an effort to make sure I can make everybody look good and keep it safe and make sure we all get out laughing and having a good time and safe. WWE would take on a ton of flack from fans as they released so many stars during the pandemic. The reason this was seen in a negative light was due to the fact that they were making even more money than in previous years. Talking about the upcoming earnings call for the company, Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio that WWE brought in a ton of revenue as well as profit. They're doing the annual earnings call, so it'll be the first year that WWE grosses over $1 billion. It will be their record profits, probably over $150 million in profits this year. Not quite UFC level, but enough to where they really didn't need to cut people, because it's the most profitable the company's ever been by far. Nick Khan will probably make some announcements. Don't know what they are. Certainly, they will talk about numbers for the Royal Rumble. The exaggerated attendance number I'm sure will be talked about. I don't know what else they could talk about. I guess they can talk about WrestleMania coming up and ticket sales for WrestleMania and how much money they're going to make from Saudi, but they're not allowed to say it. They sort of hint it, and whatever else. New movies, new TV shows they might be doing. So tomorrow will be a big day of WWE business news. While there have been talks to break up Chris Jericho's faction in AEW, it has not been done yet. Meltzer would discuss this, noting that Tony Khan preferred the group to be loosely affiliated as opposed to broken up. Jericho had wanted to split up the Inner Circle at one point, not all that long ago, and Tony Khan was like, no, you don't have to do a bunch of angles together, but we'll keep the affiliation. But now with Sami as TNT champion and as a babyface, and with all these, the way that they do babyfaces who were champions, like what happened with Paige, where they just have people come in and beat them up to build up title matches. It kind of makes no sense for him to be in the Inner Circle, because the Inner Circle never helps, and if they did, it would be like gang warfare, and I think that's not what they want with Sami right now. So we'll see how this all turns out, and then Santana and Ortiz. They could have gone for the tag team titles as a part of the Inner Circle, but it just feels like they talk about it so much. But man, there's so many teams there. I don't know, man. They should have done a trios title or something. They'll have teams that are going for the tag titles, and they'll have all these other teams that are just kind of not going for championships, that are like championship level teams all over the place. I'm not advocating another set of tag team champions. I'm definitely advocating a trios championship though. I think they should have had that 2 years ago. When Brian Kendrick was set to face Harlan on NXT, he had apparently already been granted his release from the company. Meltzer would give the details regarding this, saying he got his release some time ago. He had asked for his release well before that Harlan thing where he did that match. So when he went on and did that promo and said that he was quitting, he'd already quit. They'd already approved it, but they asked him to come back and do the match with Harlan, so he agreed to come back to do that. So people are going how could it be? It hasn't been 30 days. It's because he had actually gotten his release sometime well over that time frame ago. Come back to the ring with Harlan that he didn't end up coming back to do. He did the angle, and then there was a transportation issue. I had thought it was COVID because it was the week where all kinds of changes were made due to COVID, and in a sense, in a roundabout way, it was, because the travel, his flight in, got canceled due to COVID coming in. So it was due to COVID that he wasn't on the show, but he did not have COVID at the time. So that was the situation there. Yet he was free and clear and was supposed to make his debut tonight, and it did not happen. Kendrick had been announced to be making his AEW debut to face off against Jon Moxley, but anti-Semitic comments of his from a previous interview would resurface. This led to Tony Khan pulling the match and issuing this statement. "We've been made aware of abhorrent and offensive comments made in the past by Brian Kendrick. There's no room in AEW for the views expressed by Brian. We think it's best for all that Brian be pulled from tonight's card as we gather more info. We'll announce a replacement bout ASAP." Shortly after, Kendrick would write this on Twitter. "I apologize for all the hurt and embarrassment I have caused with my words. These are not my beliefs and never were beliefs of mine, and I crossed the line. I spread the most vile comments without thinking of the damage it would cause. I will live with this regret for the rest of my life. I'm truly sorry for the pain I have caused." With the Hardy Boys set to reunite for an independent show in March, Freddie Prinze Jr. spoke on his podcast about a time when WWE leaked a fake story to the media in order to advance a storyline involving Jeff. As he noted, "We even did an angle. I get mad at the way the media treats wrestling. I just always hated it. So we even pulled one on them where we took that Jeff storyline of him being the screw-up that WWE had and leaked a story that wasn't even true, with Jeff's permission, to CNN or somebody, and they bought it. If CNN hears this, I got you suckers. Deal with that. It wasn't even true. It was going to help us hide Jeff so that he could be the surprise entrance and make this match a triple threat. With the shocking news of WWE sending Shane McMahon home, PW Torch would note that some within the company want to warn AEW President Tony Khan about hiring Shane. People in WWE are letting me know that somebody should warn Tony Khan what he's in for if he brings Shane in, because the sense of entitlement, and I don't know if ego is the right word, that Shane would bring along with him in a company that isn't WWE would probably be amplified compared to how he was acting on Saturday, which was just basically out of control. Last year, reports would come out that Matt Riddle's comments about being able to beat up Roman Reigns in a real fight got him heat with those in WWE as well as with Reigns himself. Talking about this with Mark Andrews, Riddle said he had help from Randy Orton with his apology letter. One thing I have learned is don't ask Randy to write an apology for you. The other day, I said some things about a gentleman that I work with. He's on a different brand, he's a champion, he's a chief, one might say. I said some things he didn't like. I told Randy I said some things. I'm pretty sure he's not happy about it. What should I say? I should make this better. I sent Randy an apology that I wrote for this person. Randy looked at it and was like, nah, this is all wrong. This is what you write. He sent me an apology back and there was no apology at all. It was basically like, my bad. He knows this chief better than I do. So I sent this apology, and let's just say that he did not accept it. I was like, damn it, Randy, I can never ask you to apologize for anything. I've learned, don't ask Randy to do an apology for you. Despite publicly announcing that he has requested his release from WWE, Mustafa Ali has not been let go by the company, as now reports have come out that he could be waiting for a while. Fightful learned via WWE sources that the term value was used in reasoning behind keeping Mustafa Ali under contract. He's not been brought back to TV since an argument with Vince McMahon over creative direction. Despite these two things, as of now, we're told there are no working plans in creative for Ali, which could certainly change at any moment. We're also told there is little correspondence, if any, between the two sides. Beyond that, Fightful learned that Mustafa Ali still has well over a year at least on his WWE deal, although we haven't heard of a specific expiration date on the deal. And this was your pro wrestling news update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.